In 1989, during the demolition of a building on 151st Street in Harlem where Billie Holiday had lived her final years, construction workers discovered handwritten journals hidden behind a wall. These diaries, found exactly 30 years after Lady Day's death, would reveal one of jazz history's biggest secrets. Between 1955 and 1958, Billie Holiday had poured the most intimate details of her private life onto these pages. Her passionate relationship with Tallulah Bankhead, secret nights with Hollywood stars, and the real reasons behind her heroin addiction. But the reference to a white woman in the diary's final pages would create a mystery that no one could solve for 30 years. If you want to learn the secrets hidden in these diaries, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Because Billie Holiday's real life was far more complex than you could imagine. Construction worker Carlos Rivera thought he was starting just another ordinary workday that morning. In March 1989, an old building on West 106th Street in Harlem was being demolished. This was the last house where Billie Holiday had lived from 1957 to 1959. While Rivera and his crew were tearing down walls, they noticed an unusual hollow space in the main bedroom wall. When they opened this section, which differed from the normal brick pattern, they found 3 notebooks and hundreds of letters wrapped in plastic sheeting. According to Rivera's account, this compartment had been prepared very professionally. A special metal box had been placed inside the wall, equipped with a special sealing system to protect against moisture. It was clear that Billie Holiday had been very careful when preparing this secret compartment. Along with the box, they also found a note. "These diaries tell the truth. They should only be opened after everyone is dead." Rivera immediately reported this discovery to the construction foreman, who then notified police and the city archivist. When the notebooks were examined, they were found to be Billie Holiday's personal diaries, written in her own handwriting. The pages were dated from August 1955 to December 1958. The most striking detail was that the diaries had been preserved with a very special chemical treatment. Billie Holiday had made a special effort to protect these writings against time. The first examination was conducted by Columbia University music history professor, Dr. Angela Mitchell, who stated that this discovery was one of the most important finds in music history, because the diaries contained not only Billie Holiday's private life but also the most secret aspects of the 1950s jazz world in detail. However, the most surprising aspect was the extent of Lady Day's relationship with Tallulah Bankhead. When Dr. Mitchell first read the diaries, she even questioned whether they were real, because the information they contained was stories that had never been heard before. In the first pages of the diaries, Billie Holiday wrote that she met Tallulah Bankhead in September 1955. This meeting didn't take place at an ordinary social event but under very special circumstances. Billie was performing regularly at the Cotton Club at that time, and Tallulah frequently came to listen to her. However, the first real conversation between the two women occurred on a night when Billie was having a heroin withdrawal crisis backstage. Tallulah Bankhead had found Billie trembling in her dressing room that night and helped her. Billie described this moment in her diary. "When Tallulah looked at me, I saw understanding in her eyes, not judgment. At that moment I realized this woman truly sees me." After this first encounter, a deep bond formed between them. Tallulah's Hollywood experience and strong personality became an anchor point in Billie's difficult life. The details described in the diaries showed that the relationship between the two women developed very quickly. Tallulah had found special doctors to treat Billie's heroin addiction, hosted her in her home, and most importantly, provided emotional support. Billie, in turn, understood Tallulah's loneliness and masked existence in the Hollywood world, offering her genuine friendship. In the final months of 1955, the friendship between Billie Holiday and Tallulah Bankhead had transformed into a much deeper connection. In the diaries, Billie described this change very clearly. The nights they spent at Tallulah's penthouse apartment in New York had crossed the boundaries of mere friendship. The romantic relationship that developed between the two women was a very risky situation given the social norms of that era. Billie described the details of her first intimate night with Tallulah in her diary. "When I'm with her, I can be myself for the first time. I'm not playing the Lady Day role or trying to meet others' expectations. Tallulah loves me as Billie." These expressions showed the importance of a relationship that filled the great void in Lady Day's emotional life. However, this relationship had a very complex structure. While Tallulah Bankhead lived in Hollywood with a heterosexual image, she kept her bisexual tendencies very secret. Billie was already under FBI surveillance, so if such a relationship came to light, it could completely end her career. The love between the two women was constantly lived under secrecy and scrutiny. In the pages of the diaries from 1956, it was described how Billie Holiday attended Hollywood's most exclusive parties thanks to Tallulah Bankhead. These parties weren't just entertainment venues but also meeting points for the most powerful figures of the era. In these environments, Billie met and formed close friendships with celebrities like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Marilyn Monroe, and Marlon Brando. However, in this glamorous world, Billie Holiday never felt completely at home. She described this situation in her diary. "At Hollywood parties, I try to impress everyone, but there's always a sense of fakeness inside me. I can only be real when Tallulah is beside me." These sentences showed the extent of Lady Day's emotional dependence. The secret meetings between Tallulah and Billie mostly took place in private locations. Tallulah's beach house in Malibu was where the two women spent most of their time. The weekends they spent there constituted the happiest moments of Billie's life. In the pages related to this period in the diaries, there were expressions of optimism and hope that Lady Day rarely displayed. The diary pages explaining the reasons for Billie Holiday's heroin use completely changed the stories known until that point. Contrary to popular belief, Lady Day's addiction wasn't just about performance anxiety or an escape from racism. According to what was clearly stated in the diaries, the main reason for heroin use was the emotional tension created by her relationship with Tallulah Bankhead. In the summer months of 1956, Tallulah had to stay in Los Angeles for an extended period to take a role in a Hollywood film. This separation deeply affected Billie and she began increasing her heroin use. She described this period in her diary. "Without Tallulah, the nights are too long. Even on stage, I look for her smile. Heroin is my only remedy because it's the only thing that can ease the pain." This explanation showed that Billie Holiday's addiction actually stemmed from a love addiction. The intensity of her relationship with Tallulah and the necessity of secrecy had emotionally strained Lady Day greatly. Heroin provided her with temporary peace in the midst of this emotional chaos. However, this temporary solution eventually turned into an uncontrollable addiction. In early 1957, serious problems began to emerge in the relationship between Tallulah Bankhead and Billie Holiday. The pages in the diaries related to this period clearly reflected Lady Day's emotional breakdown. While Tallulah's Hollywood career was rising, Billie's heroin addiction was deepening. This situation created a power imbalance between the two women. The biggest problem was Tallulah's attempts to control Billie's addiction. Billie described this situation in her diary. "Tallulah is trying to save me, but she can't understand me. I'm addicted to her love and she's trying to solve my problem. We're both getting lost." These expressions revealed the fundamental contradiction in the relationship. Additionally, Tallulah's friends in Hollywood circles didn't approve of her friendship with Billie Holiday. Due to both racial prejudices and Billie's heroin addiction, this relationship could harm Tallulah's career. These external pressures also increased the tension between the two women. In the pages of the diaries from the summer of 1957, Billie Holiday began using the term white woman for the first time. The first references about this person were very vague, and Billie was deliberately hiding identity information. The first entry in the diary related to this subject was, "The white woman came again today. When I talk to her, I can forget about Tallulah. I don't know if this is right, but I need it." It was clear that this mysterious figure wasn't Tallulah Bankhead because Billie always referred to Tallulah by name in her diary. The white woman reference pointed to someone completely different. Who this person was and their role in Billie's life had become the biggest mystery of the diaries. The first clues showed that this woman was someone who provided emotional support to Billie. She gave her advice about the problem she was having with Tallulah and tried to help with her heroin addiction. However, why this woman remained so secret and why Billie didn't write her name openly was unclear. In the fall of 1957, the relationship between Tallulah Bankhead and Billie Holiday reached a critical turning point. The pages in the diaries related to this period showed that Lady Day's emotional state was very poor. Tallulah's career-focused decisions were causing her to increasingly neglect Billie. Especially Tallulah's decision to go on a theater tour in Europe greatly upset Billie. She interpreted this decision in her diary. "Tallulah is abandoning me. Hollywood is more important to her than I am. I was just her Harlem adventure." These expressions showed how worthless Lady Day felt. During this period, her meetings with the white woman had also increased in frequency. In the diary pages, her dependence on this person was now clearly expressed. Billie wrote, "Without the white woman, I would have died long ago. She understands me, doesn't judge me. She doesn't try to change me like Tallulah does." In the pages of the diaries from 1958, Billie Holiday provided very striking information about the dark sides of the Hollywood world. The behind-the-scenes events she witnessed thanks to Tallulah Bankhead revealed the true face of the film industry of that era. Drug use, secret homosexual relationships, bullying, and exploitation were normal parts of Hollywood. Billie constantly felt threatened in this environment. She had too many vulnerabilities due to her race, sexual orientation, and heroin addiction. She expressed her concerns about this in her diary. In Hollywood, everyone has dirty secrets about everyone else. I also know too much, but at the same time I have too many weaknesses. This balance is very dangerous. During this period, some producers and studio owners were trying to learn about Billie's relationship with Tallulah. They could use this information to control both Billie and Tallulah. Lady Day was aware of this situation and was becoming increasingly paranoid. Toward the end of the diaries, information about the white woman began to increase. In the spring of 1958, Billie had begun using more open expressions about this person. The description, "The white woman is not a doctor but gives medicine, not police but protects, not a friend but loves," showed that this person was in a very special position. The most important clue was that this woman was Billie's heroin supplier. However, it wasn't just an ordinary dealer. A much more complex relationship was involved. This woman wasn't only providing drugs to Billie but also giving emotional support. For Lady Day, she was both a savior and a source of destruction. From what could be understood from the diary pages, the white woman knew about Billie's relationship with Tallulah and was using this situation. Taking advantage of Billie's emotional fragility, she had created a dependency. It wasn't just heroin addiction but also emotional addiction. The diary pages written in the final months of 1958 showed that Billie Holiday's mental state was very poor. Her relationship with Tallulah Bankhead had completely ended. Her addiction to the white woman had reached its peak, and her health was rapidly deteriorating. The most striking sentence she wrote during this period was, "Now there are 3 women in my life: Billie, Lady Day, and the white woman. I don't even know which one is real." This expression showed that Lady Day was experiencing identity confusion. She was trapped between her stage identity, her real personality, and the identity created by her addiction. The white woman was both the cause and the result of this confusion. In the final pages of the diaries, Billie came very close to writing the real name of the white woman but gave up at the last moment. In these pages there were crossed-out words and incomplete sentences. Lady Day was determined to take this secret to her grave. The discovery of the diaries in 1989 had created a great shock effect in the music world. Especially the details of her relationship with Tallulah Bankhead required rewriting Hollywood and jazz history. However, the biggest curiosity was about the identity of the white woman. Following this discovery, many researchers and journalists tried to find out who the white woman was. The research team formed under the leadership of Dr. Angela Mitchell from Columbia University listed the white women who were around Billie Holiday between 1955. This list included doctors, nurses, socialite women, artists, and even drug dealers. The strongest candidate was Dr. Margaret Whitman, who worked at the private clinic where Billie was being treated at that time. Whitman was both treating Billie's heroin addiction and providing her with emotional support. However, since Whitman died in 1962, this theory couldn't be confirmed. When experts examined the diaries in detail, they noticed that there were changes in Billie Holiday's writing style over time. While there was regular and legible handwriting on the first pages, the final pages showed shaky and irregular writing. This situation showed the physical effects of Lady Day's increasing heroin use. Additionally, the paper quality and ink type used in the diaries were also analyzed. Billie Holiday had used a very special ink and protected the pages with a special chemical treatment. This situation showed that there was a conscious effort for the diaries to reach future generations. The most interesting finding was the erasure marks seen on some pages. Billie had tried to erase some information after writing it but couldn't completely eliminate it. When these erased sections were read with special light techniques, more information about the white woman emerged. In 1989, when the diaries were found, Tallulah Bankhead had already died, but her close friends were very surprised by this discovery. Patsy Kelly, Tallulah's closest friend in life, said she knew nothing about the relationship with Billie Holiday. This situation showed how secretly the relationship between the 2 women had been kept. However, some old Hollywood workers remembered changes in Tallulah's behavior in the 1950s. During that period, she had started drinking more, frequently went to New York, and generally appeared more tense. These changes now made sense in the context of her secret relationship with Billie Holiday. In research conducted among Tallulah's personal belongings, Billie Holiday's records and some personal photographs were found. These photographs showed special moments and supported the narratives in the diaries. Despite 30 years of research, the identity of the white woman couldn't be definitively determined. However, three main theories developed among experts. The first theory was that this person was Dr. Margaret Whitman. Whitman was a strong candidate because she was Billie's doctor and showed special interest in her. The second theory was that the white woman was actually Billie's imaginary friend. As a result of hallucinations created by heroin addiction, Lady Day might have created this person. However, the consistency and details in the diaries showed that this theory was weak. The third and strongest theory was that this person was an FBI agent. In the 1950s, the FBI was closely monitoring Billie Holiday and using various methods to approach her. It was possible for a white female agent to approach Billie and gain her trust. In this case, the white woman was both gathering information and keeping Billie under control. New technological analyses conducted in the 2020s helped solve some mysteries in the diaries. DNA analyses determined which chemicals were used from trace materials on the pages. Additionally, with digital restoration techniques, erased sections became more clearly readable. Researchers from Yale University discovered that the ink used in the diaries was of a very rare type. This ink was only sold in luxury stationery stores in the 1950s and showed that Billie had specially prepared these diaries. The most important development was about the identity of the white woman. Documents found in FBI archives in 2019 contained a list of female agents who approached Billie Holiday in the 1950s. This list indicated that a female agent named Agent Sarah Coleman had established a close relationship with Billie. When Coleman's photographs were examined, it was seen that they matched the physical characteristics described in the diaries. Agent Coleman's file stated that she supplied heroin to Billie Holiday and tried to gain her trust. This information strengthened the theory that the white woman was an FBI agent. However, since Agent Coleman died in a tragic accident in 1965, this theory also couldn't be fully confirmed. Coleman's death had even occurred under suspicious circumstances. Her car's brakes had mysteriously burst. In 2021, during cleaning at Tallulah Bankhead's family home in Alabama, a very special discovery was made. In the secret drawer of an antique secretary in Tallulah's bedroom, letters from Billie Holiday were found. These letters confirmed the narratives in the diaries and revealed the depth of love between the two women. In one of the letters, Billie wrote, "Tallulah, performing on stage every night without you is torture. The audience sees Lady Day, but I'm only looking for the light in your eyes. Come back, because without you I'm only half a woman." These expressions supported the emotional intensity in the diaries. Reply letters that Tallulah had written to Billie were also found. In these letters she talked about Hollywood's pressure and the difficulty of the love they had to keep secret. The most striking sentence was, "Billie, I love you, but this love will destroy us both. We can't have such a relationship in Hollywood, but I will never forget you." The discovery of these diaries had created a revolution in Billie Holiday research. It became possible to better understand the reasons for the emotional intensity in Lady Day's songs, especially the pain and longing in the songs she recorded between 1956 to 1958, were now emotions with concrete reasons. The relationship with Tallulah Bankhead had also brought Billie's bisexual identity to the agenda. This situation was a very brave behavior in the conservative atmosphere of that era. Lady Day had fought not only against racism but also against sexual prejudices. Additionally, the diaries had revealed the secret aspects of Hollywood's world in the 1950s. Secret relationships among celebrities, drug use, and the dark side of the industry were described in detail on these pages. Billie Holiday's secret diaries had shown that she was not only a jazz legend but also a very complex woman. The love she experienced with Tallulah Bankhead, the mysterious relationship with the white woman, and all the emotional turmoil during these processes explained the depth of Lady Day's art. Thanks to these diaries, when listening to Billie Holiday's songs, we can feel her real emotions. The pain, love, betrayal, and hope hidden in every note are now supported by concrete stories. Lady Day wasn't just singing, she was transforming everything she experienced into music. The fact that the identity of the white woman could never be definitively determined is perhaps the most appropriate ending to this story. Because there was too much mystery in Billie Holiday's life, and these mysteries were part of her art. The fact that some secrets remain unsolved makes them even more fascinating. These diaries, in addition to conveying Billie Holiday's real story to future generations, also show the deep connection between art and life. Lady Day's music was the crystallized form of everything she experienced, and thanks to these diaries, we can understand how those crystals were formed.